Hello everyone, welcome to the 15th and 16th century of Venetian art. The Venetian art developed a unique style which was founded in the late 14th century. Many artists were inspired by everything around them, such as architecture, the classical arts of Roman Greece, human anatomy, and the Byzantine style. The Venetian style of paintings was created by the Bellini family. The brothers Giovanni and Gentile Bellini created a workshop of Venetian art. Famous artists such as Titian, Paolo Veronese, Giorgione, Jacopo, who was the father of the two sons, and Andrea Mantegna, who is the son-in-law of Jacopo, had attended Bellini's workshops. The purpose was to create layers and a blend of deep, rich colors to achieve depth, which emphasized on patterns and surfaces. Venetian artists mainly used oil paints, which were very blendable because of how slowly the paint dried, and flexible canvases that made it easier to have lighter brushstrokes. And now we'll talk about some of the famous Venetian artists.
One artist, Paolo Veronese, was born in 1528 in Verona, hence the name, but moved to Venice to become one of the defining painters of Venetian 16th century art. He combined themes of both his city of birth and his new home of Venice in his paintings, evident in his paintings' architecture, just like Venice combined various styles of the cultures it was influenced by being the multicultural hub it was. Veronese created an array of paintings, from portraits to historical paintings. Throughout much of Veronese's work, we see a pattern, an array of figures filling his artwork. One hallmark of Venetian art Veronese presented in his paintings was, of course, color. In our day and age, Veronese's color combinations may not seem as bright as the neon pink Victoria's Secret shopping bags, but remember, these bright and deep colors were revolutionary for the time. Also notice the difference in people's clothing. We'll use Veronese's feast in the House of Levi. Here we see men in turbans, Germans, as well as modern-day dressed Venetians surrounding Christ and the apostles. This painting represents the wealth of a major trading center and intersection of culture Venice then was.
Born in 1489, Antonio Allegri da Correggio was the foremost painter in Italy of the 16th century. He is best known for his beautiful, sensuous, and vigorous art pieces. His artistic elements show a Mannerist and Baroque style-like approach. He used oil paints to create pieces involving color, contrast, nudity, and the people of his religion. The art piece shown here is titled Jupiter and Lo, one of his most famous pieces. Here is another piece from one of his most famous works titled Nativity Holy Night. It features a baby being admired in bright light by Mary in her arms. This painting was commissioned in October 1522 and was finished after a decade. Much like Titian, Correggio enjoyed a à la chandelle, which translates to of the light, technique used to create strong contrast between light and dark. In this piece of artwork, specifically, the contrast of light is focused on the baby, whereas the darkness is featured with its surroundings that includes a bearded shepherd on the left. This piece goes to show how people may worship the birth of a Christ child.
Tiziano VECELLIO, better known as Titian, was one of the most impactful Venetian painters. He used high Renaissance and Mannerist ideas and techniques. His artwork made Venice art styles rival art in Florence and Rome. He specialized in portraits, religious scenes, and mythological subjects. His art style transitioned as his life advanced, and went from consisting of traditional Renaissance scenes to paintings that challenged the norm by being asymmetrical and dynamic. His art also became darker and more dramatic towards the end of his life, which is something art historians argue that is one of the inspirations for Baroque art later because of his influence on newer artists. His usage of color in his paintings is an integral symbol of Venetian art collectively. By using rare, ultra-saturated pigments, Titian made Venetian art special with how colorful it was and how he used light effects to showcase the brightness of the works. He used mostly oil paints, which allowed him to depict soft, delicate, natural scenery. He used light brushstrokes and even his fingers to emphasize softness, mimic movement, and evoke feeling.
After Titian's passing, Tintoretto, along with Paolo Veronese, became kings of the Venice painting scene. Tintoretto followed the Mannerist style, focusing more on the artistic and dramatic aspects of the painting rather than realism. Religious art pieces from Venice not only showed devotion to faith, but just how powerful the Catholic Church was at the time. Tintoretto himself relied heavily on commissions from the church, as did many other artists. An example of this is the series of 4 paintings for the Scuola Grande di San Marco, a major confraternity in Venice. All 4 paintings revolve around the most important saint in the city at the time, Saint Mark. Tintoretto strove to paint pieces that combined Michelangelo's forms with Titian's color. And as female nudity gained popularity in the 16th century, Tintoretto was able to show off his anatomical skill in his artwork. In The Origin of the Milky Way, we can see the nude form of Juno as she rips her body from a suckling baby, Hercules. Mythological scenes like this had gained popularity both in Venice and from patrons outside of the city. Tintoretto's painting beautifully displays a myth, along with the bright and bold Venetian coloring expected from their oil paints.